right, you can go forward.
This evening's presentation is going to be on the transition process, the role of a developmental therapist hearing, a DTH. And this is a presentation that was given by Mary Langen, DTH, at the IEP conference in the spring of 2014.
Okay. Hi, guys. It's Allie Rollins. I'm a parent guide with Illinois Guide by Your Side. Trying to get my email up. Carrie's trying to help me to get back on the choicesforparents.org, but right now I'm using actually allierollins@gmail.com. And I also am a DTH. So.
And I'm Jacqueline Urbanski, and I am a parent guide with the Illinois Guide by Your Side. And I can be reached at jacquelineu@choicesforparents.org. What we'd like to start off is that there is important for all pieces to come together for a successful transition. And the pieces that we're going to be talking about this evening to make a successful transition is the early intervention, which is the EI system of transition process, the school district transition process, the family's role in the transition, and also what the DTH's role is. The EI system transition process, there's important roles that for a child to transition successfully, the EI system has ways to guide a family through the system. Each child is enrolled in the EI system already, has an outcome written for transition. So when they are 2.5 and they begin the transition, they are already written in that they will be transitioning for their 3rd birthday. They contact the local school districts to begin this transition 6 months before the 3rd birthday. The Family's Service Coordinator has the primary responsibility for guiding the family. And also the DTH, they have important information that they also provide to the family at this time.
Okay, so for the school transition process, the local school district receives the child's early intervention file, and that is sent by the service coordinator. And sometimes if they actually are in a private therapy instead of the home-based therapy with a child and family connections, then a social worker from the clinic or hospital where the child goes sometimes gets involved and helps with that as well. And then they send the paperwork on to the school district to the office where there's an early childhood facilitator. With Chicago Public Schools, there's the special ed coordinator, and then there's also a deaf ed coordinator, and it gets kind of murky, so sometimes people have to kind of contact people back and forth. And then there are sometimes a special ed coordinator within a co-op. So it's a little bit different. It's not always called the early childhood facilitator, but it's something to that nature. And then once the paperwork is in and the child is in the computer system, then there's an evaluation that's scheduled, and the parent has to bring the child usually to the school district location, or sometimes the evaluators will go into the parent's home to assess the child altogether. Then there are domains that are discussed. They have a domain meeting at the school district before they even have the IEP meeting and before the evaluation. They have a domain meeting, which means they determine what is necessary as far as the evaluations go. So if there's a hearing loss, if there's possibly physical therapy that's needed, social work that's needed, occupational therapy, they'll discuss all of those areas or domains. And then they'll discuss when the IEP meeting will take place, and they'll schedule that. This is a little chart that I received somehow through somebody. I don't even remember where I got it, but I use it for when I'm working with families as a DTH. and it just kind of helps the family see the timeline of what they need to do, or what the DTH might need to do, or what every person involved will need to do to help the transition go as smoothly as possible and get the child in by their 3rd birthday. Sometimes it doesn't always happen exactly by their 3rd birthday. It depends on actually when the birthday is. If it's September, it can get a little bit difficult, but this is generally the way that it should go. And if you look down towards the bottom where it says 1 to 2 months, it says parents make child book and give copies to the district at the evaluation. This was something from a school when you think you might have to argue, if you have like a private placement that you're hoping that your child will be placed in, if you think you might need to negotiate or discuss heavily with the school district to get them to agree to it, it's nice to have a child book with documentation from different therapists and pictures of your child to show more of what your child is like, instead of making the school think of your child as a $sign. Or if you don't make a book, at least sometimes I suggest to parents they may want to bring a photo and have it at the table, especially in the initial transition from early intervention to 3-year-olds, when they don't even really know your child that well. It's nice to have a photo so that they can know your child a little bit better instead of just seeing a number or money. Is this still me? 8?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see. So I think everybody here on the call is familiar with the IEP by now, but this is just a slide discussing kind of how the IEP goes. And just to know that the parents are also an important part of the team. And when I'm working with a family as a DTH, I definitely make sure that they are aware that they are a member of the team. And we discuss a lot about the difference between an IFSP and an IEP, because I think that's one of the most shocking things that happens. You know, at the IFSP, it's all warm and fuzzy where the parents say, I want this, I want this, I want this, and they get pretty much anything that they feel is important for their child, and then it's so totally different when they go to the IEP. And if they're not prepared for that, it's kind of deer in the headlights, and they're not really even able to process what's happening. I think that's it.
And I'm going to talk about the role of the family. A family has, like Allie said, a very important part into the transitioning for the IEP, and they should, research all their options that are available, to them. It's important for them to go out and look at these different programs so that you know what is available and how you feel your child would be able to fit into that program or not, so you can share that at your meeting. Of course, it's always important to ask questions, and that don't be afraid. If you don't know something, ask. Speak up in that. Let the district know what your preferences are, what program you're interested in for your child to be involved in, as well as keeping all your appointments with the district, because you want to have a positive relationship with them. And so if you do need to cancel something, you give them plenty of time. And also offer your opinion, when they ask you what their needs are. And make sure you talk with your child about it and prepare them the importance of, how they'll be transitioning into the school district.
So the role of the DTH in preparing the family for the transition, as Jacqueline said, to explore the different program options, and we've included in the PowerPoint a checklist of information or questions to ask as the parents go through. They can ask the school that they're visiting the different various questions about the school and about the program, and you'll see a whole long list that we'll go through just very quickly. Sometimes it is hard to get into the school. I know when we were at the actual presentation by Mary that some people were surprised, because it used to be easy to just call up the school and go in and say, I'd like to visit your program and see. And some schools just have stricter rules, or for whatever reason. So it might be difficult, and you might want to warn the family. They can contact, but the DTH can also try to contact and try to get in because they might have obviously a little bit more of a relationship with the various schools in the area that have the certain programs. So it might be easier for the DTH to make that connection and set that up for the family. They help the family identify the educational and communication needs. So I always discuss the IEP goals with the family, what things the family wants and is hoping for their child, and we go over some possible goals that might be written so that they're prepared when they actually go to the meeting. The DTH can go to the domain meeting, which is the meeting where they're even before the IEP, where they're discussing the different areas that might be necessary for the child to have a goal written. And the DTH can go to the IEP meeting also. It's not always possible, and unfortunately, I've only been to one IEP meeting in however many years I've been a DTH, about 5 years I think now, or 6, just because of my teaching job. Kind of takes up all my important time. But I try to be there if I can, but at least I can go over the IEP goals before they go. This is a DTH tool bag, so the things that a DTH likes to provide for their families to get them prepared is to talk about their family responsibilities, the timeline that we included on here, the parental rights. I wasn't sure exactly, we couldn't remember what this was and meant, but I looked on Choice's website and Hands and Voices, and they have some really good information on parental rights, as you guys know. And terminology checklists, so there's a whole glossary in the Choices binder that is helpful in case parents don't know what some of the terminology is. I sent Carrie some checklists for the IEP, some things for the parents to make sure that they know should be included and will be discussed at the IEP meeting, so accommodations and modifications that they might not know that their child can have. And so Carrie's going to either put that on the Yahoo or email that out to everybody. And then making sure that the parents have a statement ready for when they are in the IEP, because there's always that section where the coordinator or whoever is leading, the case manager, whoever's leading the IEP meeting, asks the parents about their concerns for their child academically and emotionally and all of that stuff. And so a lot of times I get parents in the IEP meetings that'll just say, nope, everything's fine, and hopefully our parents going in there will be a little bit more prepared and be able to say what they're hoping for their child. So this is the observation questions that I was telling you about, just a lot of different questions to ask as you go through. And actually, on one of the documents that I sent Carrie, or it might be actually on Hands and Voices, now I'm confusing myself, but there's a document where it has like 5 schools listed in a chart form where you can check off and write the comparisons between the school programs. That's really helpful too if you're going to a few of them so you don't get confused. But some important things to ask is if they nap, if they are an auditory oral only self-contained class, if they use sign language, if they combine both kids groups together, or if they're totally separate self-contained classes, how long the day is, what else is important, how much free time the kids get, what the class schedule is, do they interact, do the children, are they able to interact with their typical developing hearing peers? You guys can read this for yourself. There's a lot. So here's more questions. How much free time do they have? Do they have the opportunity to use an FM system in the classroom? It's kind of hard to ask a preschool teacher the percentage of children that will graduate into a mainstream program. I don't know how often they know that. My school, it varies from year to year, so it's hard to say. You can ask about educational testing. Keep going. I think there's more. Let's see. You can ask about our parents freely allowed to observe the classrooms without notice. I would pretty much say that's a big no nowadays with the doors needing to be locked and all of that stuff. Everybody needs to check in at the front and leave your license and all that. So it's a little bit more difficult than it used to be in the past. But with an appointment, if you ask the teacher, some teachers like the parents to come in. I love my parents to come in and help, but I definitely would like a little notice just so I can have things prepared for them to help me with instead of just showing up and sitting there. So it just varies from school to school. Hopefully the teachers have experience with hearing aids and cochlear implants, but you'd be surprised. So it's a good question for parents to ask. This is just a really good checklist for parents to have. And you guys can keep reading. But things for the parents to look for when they're going without even asking is what the acoustics are like, if there's carpeting and ceiling tiles on the wall, so if it's not as loud. How bright is it in there? Is it distractingly bright? Let's see, looking at the other kids in the class, even though they might not be the same kids that are in the class, it's still nice to see how the teacher interacts with the kids and think about that in the back of their minds.
Okay, does anybody have any questions? Okay, then we're finished with our presentation.
Anita here. I do have a really quick question. I thought what was really good that was brought up was a comment having to do with the environment, you know, it being too bright, how it affects the children's learning, you know, even their mood sometimes, but, you know, focusing on oral training, their reading, listening, but never thought of how the room, even the color, the light, how that affects the learning process. That's something that I never thought about, and I'm glad that that was placed there. That way the parents can bring that up with the teachers or take note of it when they do observe those, when they have a moment to observe.
Cool, thanks.
Thanks, Anita. We're ready to do the post questions.
Go ahead.
Number 1, transition planning starts on the child's 2nd birthday. True or false?
Go with question 2, please.
Number 2, who is involved in the transition process? A, the early intervention system, B, the school district, C, the family, D, the DTH, E, all of the above.
Just waiting for Lucy. And you can go ahead and read question 3.
Number 3, the early childhood facilitator coordinates the process of transitioning a child through the school system services. True or false?
Question 4.
Question number 4, the DTH's role in the transition process is they help parents, A, they help parents explore local program options which match their child's communication needs. B, aid the parents in asking questions from the district to visit programs or placement options. C, they help family identify the educational and or communication needs of the child. D, they attend the domain meeting with the family if they would like the DTH to be present. E, they attend the IEP meeting with the family if they would like the DTH to be present. Or F, all the above.
I think I'm just waiting for Melissa. Right. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. You may go ahead and introduce yourself, Anita.
Okay. Change, progress, collaboration. Do we have to? I'm Anita, Deaf Parent Guide today. Why is it so important to attend the ITHI conference and to learn about collaboration? We know what collaboration is, but there's a special difference here. It's called It's Change and Progress. Presentation was given by Kelly Bateman, school social worker. She's got 12 years experience working with deaf students. Now, next is Jill McHugh, Mary Pico, and Ruth Ann Weg, and NIA teacher of the deaf and hard of hearing. I'm going to go back. Jill has worked at Burlington Center high school teacher and interpreter of NIA. NIA is the Northwestern Illinois Association Special Education Cooperative, and she's been doing this for 28 years of experience working with the deaf students. Okay. Mary and Ruth Ann are NIA contributing teachers of the deaf and hard of hearing, and they want to share basics of collaboration and its importance in education, and they will walk you through their journey of collaboration beginning in special education cooperative, working with deaf and hard of hearing students. So, why are we here today? Collaboration in their program has grown significantly over the last several years. Collaboration in their program is growing. Most people think that, oh, you know, it's just co-teaching. But collaboration can and should go beyond co-teaching, and they have developed teamwork, or a team that works. Next is, what is collaboration? The answer is to work with another person or group discussions in order to achieve or do something, to develop or improve something. So, to do something, what do we need to do? Well, basically, the basics of collaboration, it's very important in education. As I just started, it will lead you we want to know what's inside. You know, for example, a lot of us parent guides, or some have parents who have hearing loss, or children have hearing loss, and they go to these different schools in the system, and some of us don't know, and that's why I had to get involved and learn more about, from this presentation, the more details about the school environment and the programs, these special education cooperatives, and working with deaf and hard of hearing students. I wanted to know what the overview, the various ways of using collaboration and technology to help in improving outcomes, etc., and to know what the fears and concerns were, the success stories, and the failures, if you will, and that way, and to see what collaboration will do for everyone, parents, teachers, students, and the teams as well. If you want to know what are some of the different classroom collaborations models are, there are various school systems. It varies in the school system. One teacher works one-on-one teaching. One will observe and collect data. By observing, one will teach and aid at a station and do rotational teaching. Some will do parallel teaching, class cut in half, if you will. Some will alternate teach, main lesson or side lessons. And then you have a tradition of team teaching, co-teaching, and you have that sort of that teamwork, and I really like that. That's what they do, and so I was able to see a different perspective and how they have made this work in their schools. Now, need to know, what is the best practice? What are best practices? The teachers in the school have to know every day, you know, they've got to prepare each day in order to collaborate. Some teachers have, each teacher has different interests, so you've got to collaborate that and work with the students, understand the children. Some may not understand a child, another teacher does, and so you can collaborate and be more accountable to all the students, not just be focused on one or two students, or certain students are responsible, or certain teachers are responsible for certain students, and the accountability is not there, but everyone sharing that accountability and working together in order to serve the students. And that, I always wanted to know what the experts say about collaboration between the general, opening up, and then also special education, the different disciplines, if you will, or specialties. But opening it up. And how? Well, experts say the way you do it is through research. Research shows the collaboration between the general, special ed benefits the quality of instruction and support for students with disabled students without students without disabilities also benefit as well. because if education can work for hearing students, and those who have special needs, can also have education tailored toward them. And if there, one moment. Metasynthesis. Okay, co-teaching research by the people who have studied, they have found data, as you see here. What else do the experts say about students teaching one-on-one, the ratio, one-on-one ratio? They think that it's better to teach students one-on-one to get more individual attention, wide use of instruction, technology, use of equipment better, and it's critical to plan and to use reflexive practice and improve teaching, classroom management, and more community cooperative classrooms, oriented classrooms, and increase score results. That's really interesting to me. So, experts have said that to have an agenda with what the challenges exist, they've seen that experts feel that there are so many things like, do we have to do this, and the challenges that we have seen are what? We've got to have time to plan, and there's also personal differences, philosophies, and lack of experience with collaboration, poor attitude toward collaboration, lack of a willingness to collaborate, lack of knowledge about collaboration, and having a negative view, fear of collaborating, and looking down at other teachers, and also feeling like being under the spotlight, and then funding and difficulty for scheduling, support, abilities. Are they able to do certain things, and delays, and feeling overwhelmed. Next, you see, how do we improve the agendas? Well, developing staff meetings, staff development meetings, department level meetings, trainings, bulletins, putting these on bulletin boards like PBIS discussions. Have you heard of that? Like behaviors, writing them on the lists. Heart-to-heart discussions, conversations, sharing viewpoints and concerns, and listening to each other. That will help collaboration. Documenting, Word document, and then helping to find solutions, and then providing realized time improvement, occasionally. I'm sorry. Release time improve. Let's see here. Occasionally. Okay, so over time improving and tracking that. Next, okay, what do they do now? Collaboration between NIA teachers is very important, plus paraprofessionals and interpreters and teachers and other professionals and specialists, and some teachers mixed with mainstream teachers and NIA teachers with support staff and teachers and other behavioral team like PIBS, for example, or NIS teachers, plus vocational staff, all collaborating and accommodating community services, programs to program, NIA home district or departments and local districts and departments and teachers and community access and administration. And we see that. Imagine how people working together. You can really find ways to collaborate. The potential is very great. So collaboration between NIA teachers and peer focus groups, curriculum planning or master planning and vocab one moment. Getting clarification. Relay for Life and Deaf Club, Deaf Pride program to educate students on deaf culture and history, provided by the deaf committee members. Imagine what's involved. The district sponsor, mentoring programs, and middle school to high school, Pen Pal project, and all these different things. That's how we can develop collaboration. Can you imagine that? How NIA teachers are trying to get involved. That's not all. Interpreters as well, those who speak Spanish. The groups within the classrooms, getting them together, mixing them up. Behavioral management plans, depending on each individual child, deaf and hard of hearing child, communication. Doesn't matter students' progress in mainstream classes. You have the interpreter teachers, specialists like OTB, OTV, speech therapists. Imagine, we can see how parents' guides can help. It helps the parents, because if the school is involved like that with their children in the classroom, there's great potential there. So I'm looking at time. We're up against it, but let's see, what do we have next here? So as I said, the teachers, the teachers are exhausted. They're tired. They can't, make all these lists of everything and possibly satisfy them. So that's why should we collaborate? Because it's positive that we recognize improvements, but it seems like it's daunting, very, very huge task. But that's why it's so important to have teams working together, various teams, so we can help each other and support each other, so we know individual child and student or groups. It's very nice. And as they grow older and transition to middle school and then on to high school, or ready to go out to the real world in the community in the future. Involvement in gym and group social work services, listening to spoken language groups and CPI, audiology equipment repair, setup, OT, PT involvement and support, employment training, etc. That's what I can imagine. I've learned from this presentation, and I didn't realize what we were missing, what we were doing, what we can learn from them. And simple, we've got to walk through and do observations, collect data, send out for processing, and get involved in FBAS and BIPS for behavioral involvement. If we see certain behaviors, to work on those and improve on those, and then when they do improve, then there's learning. If not, then there's a block there and there's problems. So we've got to get intervention there when that happens. So we have better education for future job placement, job skills, work evaluations, technology in the future. Children, as they grow older, will be in better stead. Plus, when the children grow older and go out into the world, they're involved in community services too, such as different Chicago Hearing Society or Parent Choice, DHS, early intervention training for staff, college, being involved in volleyball, deaf festivals, NIU, Gallaudet, NTID, New York, Lions Club, community involvement. So we know that we have these services out there in the community, etc. So we start them out very young and plan. And teachers can be involved with the parents and community, etc. to sort of make that happen. One moment. So, as I just explained, how the purpose for students is to improve learning and to improve staff and inform them of these services, teachers to other teachers, teachers to teacher, so that they work together and collaborate, positive staff skills and increasing awareness and disciplines, and being aware of deaf individuals and students' own self-esteem and district relationships, and then improving behavior and peer interaction, more services available for the students so they feel contented or satisfied. That's why it's so important to know what we have, to have that kind of collaboration so that we have them in place. So in conclusion, any future questions you want to learn more, here are the resources there, padlake.com, and as you can see there on the screen, you can ask questions there, and they will reply to you. They will reply to you. And there's also nichy.org, school age, effective practice, co-teaching. You can click on there and learn what they've got there and how to help teachers improve, or parents as well. And you can see if this will work for parents and teachers. The websites are there, the URLs, as you can see. They're involved with Northwestern Illinois Association for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing. You just click there on the website and explore. You see what they've got regarding collaboration, and that was given by the presentation that Kelly Bateman gave. That's it for the post-test. Any questions?
Okay, Anita, if you want to forward
to
the next
ready
slide.
For the post-test.
Yes, please.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot this here. The name of the contact persons here, names, staff of Northwest Illinois. This is the NIA there. That was important to show you. Okay, ready for the post-test. There was one more slide there I had to show you. Okay, so there you have it. Number 1, what is collaboration? To achieve business alone. B, to work with another person or group in order to achieve or do something. C, to be competitive with others. D, to work with other persons. To lead with another person.
Waiting for Kelly and Melissa. We got Melissa. Let's wait for Kelly. Okay, question 2.
Okay, second question, number 2. What is NIA? A, Northwestern Institute Association. B, National Illinois Imaging Association. C, Northwestern Illinois Association. D, National Illinois Institution on Academics.
For Kelly and Emily.
Number 3.
Not yet. Hold on. Emily, did you answer 2 yet? Okay, great.
Yes,
Number
I sent
3.
it.
Thank you. Anita, you can go on with number 3 now.
Okay, number 3. What do the experts say about collaboration between what? Is it A, co-teachers and development team, B, different classroom collaboration role models, best practices, C, general and special educators, D, comments and concerns,
Sorry, guys. I just got thrown off for a second here. I'm trying to catch up with the order here, and I'll let you know in a second. Okay, I'm going to pause the recording for
one moment for your interpreter. Kelly Bateman / Kelly Bateman, C, with C one more time for the interpreter. www.IEP whatisco.com. Okay, and solutions / collaborations for the end after the backslash. DUCSTRAT strategies.com, and then it says what is collaboration. So out of those, what is the resource?
I think all I'm waiting for is Emily, and I could have missed yours, Emily. All right. We are good to go. Pause the recording.